Hello everyone, this is Colleen Lemma, Starseed Astrologer and Spiritual Messenger from SacredSoulEmpowerment.com, here to do your weekly intuitive reading for Monday, March 22nd through Sunday, March 28th, 2021. For this week's weekly reading, we will be using the Angel Tarot deck by Jane Wallace for the main message for everyone. We also have an additional card for everyone here from the Psychic Tarot by John Holland. And then your special message card this week, depending on your stone of choice, is going to be coming from the Sacred Soulmates deck by Stellara. And the reason I chose that deck this week is because we have a full moon in the sign of Libra that we're going to be talking about. And Libra is the sign of relationships and partnerships. But let's first start by taking a look at your stones of choice. So your first stone of choice here is this beautiful rose quartz. This is called a palm stone because it's nice and smooth and one can hold it in the palm of their hands. But this wonderful rose quartz is a stone of universal love or unconditional love. It helps to restore trust and harmony in relationships. And it helps to purify the heart chakra of negative lower vibrational emotions and feelings, and helps to provide a sense of self-love as well as love for others. Now your second stone of choice is in the heart shape of a heart, and it is a ruby zoisite. The zoisite is the green stone. The ruby, of course, is the red splotches that you see in various places here, and even on the back side, we got some ruby here. So this beautiful ruby zoisite, this is a stone that enhances the connection between the head and the heart, or between the way you think and the way you feel. This is a stone that can help to heal and release negative emotions as well. And it helps to reawaken one's sense of spiritual connection or spiritual energy. And then your third stone of choice here is beautiful pink tourmaline. There's a lot of it here. It's in a matrix of clear quartz, but this pink tourmaline is a stone of love, compassion, and emotional healing. Helps to release guilt, worry, depression, anxiety. And it's a stone that can help to bring in a sense of courage and trust to open the heart to love again. Okay, so again, your stones of choice are the rose quartz, the ruby zoisite, or the pink tourmaline. So let's start by talking about the astrological energies for the week. We start out on Tuesday, the 23rd of March, with Mercury, planet of the mind, and it is currently in the sign of Pisces, and it is challenging in a square aspect to Mars, the warrior, the planet of energy and action, in the sign of Gemini. So let's talk about Mercury and Pisces for a minute. Mercury, again, rules the logical mind, but it's in an intuitive and creative, free-flowing water sign of Pisces. So here, Mercury can be a little bit more intuitive and psychic, but from a standpoint of the mind and how it perceives or how it thinks, or even how it communicates, can be a little lacking in focus, can be ungrounded, can be confused, can be full of illusion. There can be even a deceptive quality to Mercury in Pisces, to where things are not always clearly being communicated. Now, Mars, on the other hand, is the planet of, again, energy, action, forward movement, and it's in the sign of Gemini, which is an air sign that rules thoughts and perceptions and ideas and communications. It rules information. So Mars is putting its energy towards these perceptions, these ideas. Mars is putting its energy into communications and trying to be a little bit more logical. The thing about Pisces, where Mercury is, and Gemini, where Mars is that both of these signs are called mutable signs. And mutable means changeable. Mutable means there's a lack of focus, a lack of being grounded. Mutable means there's a lack of follow-through. So because these signs are changeable, they can vacillate a lot. So first of all, Mercury is in this challenging aspect to Mars. So there's already a challenge with communication, okay? Mercury's in Pisces, which can be challenging in and of itself. And with it being mutable in Pisces and squaring Mars, which is in mutable Gemini, there can be some frustrations that might build up. There can be communications to where people are vacillating all over the place. They can't really direct their communication or their thoughts in a logical way. They might be a little confused. The energies are confusing. I feel like this aspect could be people saying things before they really think things through, or maybe even say things that aren't necessarily, truth, or that they're just saying it as a knee-jerk reaction, because Mars, as the warrior, sometimes, rushes in and puts its energy without thinking in certain places. So here we're putting our energy into communication without maybe thinking things through first. And again, we might backtrack. People might be backtracking with their communications. They might be confusing in how they're relaying information or trying to tell you something. And again, they might just be changeable. They might say one thing, and then a few minutes later or a couple days later, they might be saying something else. And so it's hard to be really grounded and focused and clear with this particular aspect of Mercury squaring Mars. Then we skip ahead to Thursday the 25th. And on Thursday the 25th, the sun, which is how we shine our light, our sense of self-confidence or self-identity, our creative self-expression, it's in this independent sign of Aries. It's in the first sign of the zodiac right now, which is strong and confident and leadership-oriented and individualistic. And the sun in Aries is connecting to Venus, who is also in Aries. So Venus rules relationships. She rules the divine feminine. You could almost say that the sun is a masculine sort of planetary energy, and Venus is a feminine planetary energy. So here they're both in this strong, independent, self-sufficient, confident, take charge, warrior type of sign of Aries. They're coming together. The sun is shining its light on Venus and Aries. So this can be the divine feminine standing up for herself. This can be the divine feminine wanting more independence. This can be the divine feminine really wanting to speak her truth as far as her sense of identity and speaking it with confidence or being confident. At the very least, it's about being more confident. Now, this could also be about people in relationships, since Venus does rule relationships, needing a little bit more independence, needing a little bit more of a connection to their own sense of self-identity or autonomy, because that's what Aries is about too. And this energy leads us up to Sunday the 28th, where we actually do have this full moon in Libra. But right before the full moon in Libra, Venus is going to connect to Chiron. So on Thursday, Venus connects to the sun, but on Sunday, Venus connects to Chiron, the wounded healer, the ruler of past life wounds or past life karma that needs to be healed. And again, Venus is the divine feminine. And to me, she's healing these wounds regarding her sense of self, regarding her self-confidence, regarding her independence, regarding her ability to be seen, be heard, be recognized, because Aries is that first sign of the zodiac and wants to kind of be in charge or be in the forefront or be the leader. Now, after Venus connects with Chiron on Sunday, this is when we have the full moon at 8 degrees of Libra, meaning the sun is in Aries and the moon is in the opposite sign of Libra, the sign of partnerships, which makes it a full moon. So this energy for most of this week is about self versus others, because we're building up to that full moon on the weekend. And that full moon at 8 degrees Libra is, of course, opposing Chiron in Aries, opposing Venus in Aries. It's connecting to Uranus, which is the great awakener and the planet of sudden and unexpected energies that can be happening, something surprising that could be happening. And it's also in a connection to Saturn, and Saturn can bring karmic energies as well, karmic lessons that need to be learned. But it can also be about restructuring. So this can be, for instance, restructuring one's relationship with other people, or restructuring one's belief systems within themselves. Okay, Saturn likes to bring structure and form to something, but it also likes to teach you certain lessons that your soul is here to learn. So this full moon, now remember that Libra, being about relationships, it can be our romantic relationships for sure, but it can also be our relationships with our family, our children, our business partners, our friends. It's all one-on-one relationships here with this full moon in Libra. But I think because we have, you know, this Aries energy with the Sun and Venus on Thursday, and then this Aries energy with Venus and Chiron, bringing up some past life wounds on Sunday right before that full moon. I feel like, again, this is about where things are out of balance, because Libra is the sign of the scales of justice. And if in a relationship the scales are tipped towards one person or the other, where there's a lack of balance or a lack of harmony or a lack of equality, then this is where we're going to have some things that we need to work through. And Uranus, again, can bring in some sort of sudden unexpected shift or surprise, and Saturn can bring some lessons that we need to learn. So let's go ahead and take a look at the messages from our angels and guides for the week. And as we turn over the first card, okay, we have Major Arcana number 12, the Hanged Man. Okay, Major Arcana number 12 is the Hanged Man. And this says Angel of Prophecy. And we have an angel hanging upside down. His legs are bound together with some sort of rope or tie, and he's hanging upside down from a tree. Interesting, we have a butterfly here, which I'm drawn to, and I don't know if this is fruit or apples, golden apples. I like the fact that they're gold because that means higher vibrational energy. But the Hanged Man is usually about seeing something from a different perspective, because if you're hanging upside down, you're going to view the world or view your situation or circumstance from a different perspective. You're going to see things differently than you would if you were right side up, which is our normal way of viewing something, right? So this is asking us to look at something from a different perspective. If there's something going on in relationships, or even in your life, it could be in career or any other area of your life, and there's something challenging happening or unfolding, try to look at it from a different perspective. Try to look at it from a higher perspective, because again, these golden fruit, golden apples or whatever they might be here, hanging from the branches of the trees, that gold means that highest vibration. The gold color to me is of the crown chakra, where we're opening our crown chakra to higher perceptions, higher wisdom, higher knowledge. Also, the butterfly here, butterflies as an animal totem can mean new birth, the birth of a new way of feeling, because the butterfly relates to our emotions. So we're birthing a new way of feeling, a new way of expressing our emotions. We're needing to shift our perspective to see something from a higher vantage point, to see something from a higher spiritual relationship as far as what's going on and why. And, you know, if you just kind of surrender to the Hanged Man, I mean, you're kind of in a surrender mode, right? To where instead of fighting against the tide, especially with that Mercury squaring Mars, which is probably not going to get us anywhere if we try to hash things out or communicate something, at least not around that day. Now, definitely communication is important, but I would come back a few days later, maybe even next week after the full moon, and then talk about it then, where the energies are a little bit more settled, and you know, the mutable energy of the Pisces, Mercury, and Gemini, Mars is, you know, gone by the wayside. So just kind of surrender right now and view something, view the situation, view the interaction from a higher perspective. It does say angel of prophecy. So what does that mean? You know, prophecy is when we're seeing something, right? We're clairvoyantly prophesizing or seeing something, you know, like in a psychic vision. So rather than create a self-fulfilling prophecy that is not what it is that you want by arguing or being frustrated or pushing your agenda, or even, you know, on the flip side, you don't want to let anybody walk all over you either. So there's definitely a two sides to look at this. I definitely would stand up for yourself, but I wouldn't necessarily try to communicate with reason about it, at least not at the beginning of the week. Even towards the end of the week with the full moon, might be better off to wait and come back, kind of call a truce, so to speak. I think that would be a good thing to do, because you do want balance and harmony as much as possible in relationship, but call a truce and say, let's revisit this subject, in a few days. And allow things to unfold between then and the next time you come back together and communicate. And if, the energies are a little bit more settled, that means the communication is going to be a little bit more clear and settled as well. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the second card here. The second card, also a major arcana. This is major arcana 20, the Judgment card, and it says Angel of the Past. Well, this makes sense too, the Angel of the Past, because Chiron is about our past life wounds, right? And, Venus here being about love and relationships. She is also about money and finances and personal resources. So there might be something that's needing to be healed as far as patterns or belief systems regarding that as well. But this Angel of the Past is saying that it's time to go back and heal those wounds, right? And the Judgment card often does deal with past, meaning our past incarnations. To me, the Judgment card is, what have you lived in your past and in your past lives, and what belief systems do you have from the past, and how did you operate in the past? And again, with this, Angel of the Past going on and this healing energy of Chiron going on, I feel like there's messages coming. To me, she's blowing this trumpet. She's blowing this horn like Archangel Gabriel, blowing that horn, which means there's some sort of message here. There's some sort of understanding that you need to pay attention to. When somebody blows a trumpet, you kind of stand at attention, right? You hear that and you're all of a sudden, oh, what's that? And so there's some sort of message that the universe wants you to pay attention to. And I noticed that there's two dolphins back here in the background, right? So this does still indicate partnerships or relationships with other people. And look at how these dolphins are nice, and they're kind of arced in the same way. They're jumping out of the ocean in the same way. They're in harmony, right? So we're needing to pay attention to the messages that Spirit is guiding us towards as far as having harmony and balance and equality in our relationships. And how do we do that? By healing the past, whatever the past is about, whether it's the past in this lifetime or the past in previous lifetimes. We need to go back and listen to the messages from Spirit, from the universe, and heal that past. Okay? Let's go ahead and take a look at this next card. Now, the next card came out as two cards here. So the first of those two cards, well, Two of Cups. So definitely, we have partnerships, relationships, two people, right? Again, it doesn't matter what the relationship is, but we're talking about one-on-one interaction with another person here. And the sense of needing that balance and harmony and equality. And how do we get balance and harmony in a relationship? By compromising, by communicating, by respecting one another, right? So all of these things about relationships, respect, mutual love, mutual adoration, equality, compromise. Sometimes that's hard in relationship, right? Because that Aries energy that we have wants to pay attention to our needs. What are our needs, our wants? What do we desire? And sometimes Aries can get a little bit self-focused, I guess, to put it nicely, self-focused to where they want things the way they want them. But you have to remember that if you're in a friendship or a family relationship or a romantic partnership, even a business partnership, there's at least two people, and you have to take into account both people's needs, wants, and desires. Let's go ahead and take a look at the card that came out with it. The Knight of Swords, okay? And the Knight of Swords at the bottom says drama. Now, the sword suit is the suit of the mind, the suit of our thoughts, our perceptions and communications. And since we're talking about the Knight of Swords being about drama, this can be drama and communication, right? This can be about us having disagreements or differences of opinion and little frustrations, maybe little arguments. Maybe our old wounds come up and old patterns of how we react when things are not going peacefully and harmoniously for us. So what might that look like? Maybe there's a lack of boundaries happening. Maybe there's, some sort of a feeling of I'm not good enough, or those old thoughts and those old patterns of belief. Whatever it is, this can cause some sort of drama, especially as we get towards the end of the week in our relationships. The Knight is considered still a somewhat immature energy, right? The court cards, we have the Page first, which is the most childlike, and then we have the Knight, sort of, like a teenager sort of energy, and then we have the Queen and the King. So the Queen and the King are much more mature than the Knight. So here, we're reacting more from our, you could say, quote unquote child self, inner child, or adolescent self, if you will. So therefore, there can be a little bit more drama going on here within our relationships. Now, what happened with this card over here is that I was trying to decide what deck to use for this week. And first I picked up this deck, and I was shuffling, and a card did flew out onto the floor. And I left it there for the moment, thinking that I probably would end up using it. But then I kept trying to pull cards for the week, as I do ahead of time, meditation and then pulling the cards. And nothing wanted to come out. And so I ended up asking Spirit if I needed to use a different deck, which is why we use the Angel Tarot deck for the week, because I was getting a yes on that. But then I did ask if that one that fell out on the floor was supposed to be, kind of like an extra message or special message for everyone for the week, and I got a yes. So let's see what this one is. Again, this is for the collective, and we got the 5 of emotions, or I guess this is the 5 of emotional. So this is like the 5 of cups, and you can see this person holding on to their heart chakra, right? So this is about old emotional wounds. It's just kind of reiterating what we've been talking about already. So this person looks like, they've had wounds from the past. Their heart has been broken, or their heart has been hurt, by other people in the past through words or whatever it might be. And it's interesting that if you look at this person with their hands over their heart, and you can see some of kind of the red and orange there, which to me is like the anger, the frustration, the depression. It's the lower vibrational emotions, right? Because they're sort of that base chakra color energy. But then we have this emanation energy, and it's coming out from the hands, from the heart chakra, and it's swirling around this person and going off into the distance. That to me is that past life stuff. I feel like this is like old hurts from the past, old hurts from the family of origin, old hurts from past lifetimes. So with that Chiron with Venus this week, it's really urging us to heal those wounds of the past. Now, we don't have to necessarily know consciously what our past lives are, but we probably know what our patterns are, what our patterns in relationship are. Do we have a difficult time with boundaries? Do we have a difficult time with communication? Do we feel not worthy or not good enough? Are we too overpowering or controlling? What are the wounds from the past? And then they may very well relate to something within our home and family of origin in this life, but they probably go back to previous lifetimes. And so just asking for those wounds to heal, asking for more awareness maybe of where they come from, but especially asking our guides, our angels, the healers of the light, to help us to heal those past life wounds, to release that hurt, to release the guilt or the betrayal or the anger, the depression, the frustration, the anxiety, whatever it might be, and allow this healing to take place this week. So let's go ahead and take a look at the special message depending on the stone of choice. Now, these cards I've never used. They're called the Sacred Soulmates card. I only use them when I'm doing a relationship reading, and they have no pictures on them. There's no pictures, but just words. But I found them to be uncannily accurate when I am doing readings for people about relationships. So the first stone of choice was the rose quartz. I'm going to close my eyes for a minute. Rose quartz people, special message, rose quartz. Special message for rose quartz. When I opened my eyes, this one was calling my attention. It says lessons of Mars, and it says purely physical sexual attraction, fire, and passions run fast and burn fast without other elements. So that could be taken literally, meaning if there's some sort of romantic relationship here that you might be relying too much on magnetic attraction, chemistry, sexual attraction, or the sexual part of the relationship you might be looking at as more important, or that's what's keeping the glue that's keeping you together. So it could quite literally mean something like that, to where you're supposed to go beyond that. You're supposed to look for a higher state of love. Communication is important. Respect is important. There's so many other things that are important. Having a good, solid friendship, companionship with another person, having similar interests or similar values. Those are all important things as well. It's not just about that Mars physical attraction. The other thing, though, to me with lessons of Mars, because Mars is the warrior, that there could be lessons again about not being too overly aggressive. Mars likes to be aggressive. Mars likes to be, again, in the forefront. He likes to be the winner. He likes to be competitive. So there could be things going on in the relationship to where it's more one-sided, to where someone always gets their way, or someone's, more competitive, or feeling like they have to be first or the most important, or whatever have you, needing to take charge. So that makes me feel like there's something out of balance again in the relationship. The relationship isn't balanced if Mars, the warrior, is getting his way all the time, or taking the lead all the time, making the decisions all the time, because Mars tends to like to do that. Now, Mars is great when when you need to take charge of your life, but when it's within relationship, that Mars energy can be a little overpowering, okay? And it does sometimes get a little frustrated, or argumentative, or in a fighting stance. And so those are also things with this particular message that could be going on in relationships that needs to be healed and released and rebalanced, okay? All right. Or maybe you need to take a little bit more charge. Maybe you need to become, a little bit more warrior-like and standing in your truth and standing up for yourself. Maybe that's part of the lesson too, is you, not that you want to fight, and that's not what we're saying here, but we're saying for you to just kind of put your foot down a little bit and say, you know what, I don't deserve this. I won't take this, and I deserve to be happy, and I deserve to have, love and harmony in my relationship, to where you can just assert yourself without raising your voice or arguing or being negative in any way. So that could be the other part of that Mars energy. All right, so for those of you that chose the ruby zoisite, special message. Ruby zoisite, special message. Okay, this one's calling my attention. And it says, whoops, kind of fell over there. Telepathy. It says, this connection has a very strong empathic and telepathic soul bond. Okay. So the relationship, now again, it could be family, friendship, or romantic, where you're able to hear each other's thoughts, finish each other's sentences, know what the other person is feeling without them even expressing it to you. So it does say that there is a strong bond here. Now, just because that bond is there, again, doesn't mean that there's not other things that need to be worked on in a relationship. And in fact, if we're very intuitive and very psychic, sometimes that can be something that becomes a lack of a boundary as well, to where if we know what the other person, wants or is thinking, without them actually verbally communicating, well, we just take charge and we make it happen because we know that's what the person wants. Well, part of that seems wonderful and romantic, but the other part of that is maybe that other soul that's not speaking their truth or not asking for what they want. Maybe that's part of their soul lesson, is to learn how to speak up for themselves, to learn how to express emotionally or even mentally what it is that they want or desire. So if we're always just intuiting what the other person needs or wants or desires, and then we're just taking care of it for them, that doesn't help that other soul learn what they might need to learn in this lifetime. So it's all good. And if you are that telepathic and you have that kind of a bond, again, it's nice to have that. But maybe instead of always just taking care of what the other person wants or finishing their sentences, maybe it's better to sit back and say, try to support them in communicating. Like, in other words, instead of finishing their sentence, saying something like, is this what you're trying to say? But I really want to hear what it is that you want to express, but it seems like you're trying to find this word, rather than finishing their whole sentence. Maybe they're struggling to find a particular word. And you can say, I hear that you might be trying to express this. Is that accurate? Or just being silent and just being supportive and just waiting until that person is able to express, because again, that they might be learning as a soul how to communicate a little bit better in relationships. A lot of times for some of us, it's hard to communicate our truth in relationships appropriately. And then as far as taking care of their needs, well, again, you might know what they want, but again, you could possibly somehow try to bring up a conversation where then they ask for it and express their truth. But again, it might not always be good to just take it upon yourself to, fix everything for the person because that that's what they want. Or, if that communication isn't there, that might be just something that's very important for the long term of the relationship to operate in its smoothest and best capacity. So, just a couple of thoughts there as far as this is concerned. But, this, again, the telepathy between people and helping that increase and bring a stronger soul bond is definitely a very nice thing for sure. All right. And then let's see here, the message for the pink tourmaline. That's right. So pink tourmaline people. Pink tourmaline people. Okay, open my eyes, and this one's sticking out here. Ooh, new patterns. Okay, well, that makes a lot of sense with what we've been talking about as well, right? Old past life karmic stuff, new patterns. Do things differently in order to bring health and vitality into your love life. Okay, so we do get caught in patterns and stuck in patterns, okay? And that's what we were talking about with Chiron, the wounded healer, the past life, wounds and whatnot, is what are your perceptions? What's your go-to as far as how you perceive something in a relationship? What's your go-to belief system about yourself or about the other person in the relationship? What is your go-to action? How do you usually react in certain situations? Do you see a pattern that has developed that keeps on spinning round and round and round like a spiral? So this is definitely about healing the past and encouraging new patterns within the relationship, okay? And sometimes that takes a little bit of hard work, So, because habits are habits, right? Whether it's a thought habit, a perception habit, belief system habit, communication habit, or an action habit. If it's something we've done, thought, said, acted again and again and again, especially in relationship, right? Because our emotional buttons get pushed, we get triggered, right? And if we get triggered, then we fall back into the same response, whether it's a response out loud, communicatively, or a response within ourselves with belief systems and thoughts. We have similar responses when our emotional buttons get pushed. So this is about being really super aware and really slowing down and taking time before reacting or responding, which can be a little difficult to do. But this is the universe encouraging you to create some new patterns in your life as far as relationships. Okay, everyone. I hope you've liked this weekly intuitive reading. Hope you like that new deck that we used for the full moon in Libra. Sending you all lots of love and light, and what do I want to say, awareness as we all move through this soul journey, and support and mutual love and compassion and equality, forgiveness for one another, because we're all in this together. We're all learning together. We're working on our stuff together and individually, but it's through the mirror of the other that we're able to work through it maybe even a little bit faster. So sending you lots of love and light and many, many blessings.